Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama, Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Jai Radha Natvar Radha Natvar Radhe.
Jai Radha,
Radha Natvar
Natavara
Radha
Radha,
Natvar
Natavara
Radhe.
Radhe.
Jai Radha Natvar Radha Natvar Radhe.
Jai Radha,
Radha Natvar
Natavara
Radha
Radha,
Natvar
Natavara
Radhe.
Radhe.
Jai Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe.
Jai
Radha
Radha,
Damodar
Damodara
Radha
Radha,
Damodar
Damodara
Radhe.
Radhe.
Jai Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe.
Jai Radha,
Radha Damodar
Damodara
Radha
Radha,
Damodar
Damodara
Radhe.
Radhe.
Jai Radha Rasbi Hari Radha Rasbi Hari Radhe.
Jai
Radha
Radha,
Rasbi
Rasmi
Hari
Hari
Radha
Radha,
Bihari Radhe, Jaya Radha, Ras Bihari Radha, Ras Bihari Radhe,
Jai
Radha,
Radha
Ras Bihari
Bihari
Radha,
Radha
Ras Bihari Radhe, Jaya Radha, Madan Mohan Radha, Madan Mohan Radhe,
Jai
Radha,
Radha
Madan
Madan
Mohan
Mohan
Radha,
Radha
Madan
Madan
Mohan
Mohan
Radhe,
Radhe
Jaya Radha, Madan Mohan Radha, Madan Mohan Radhe,
Jai
Radha,
Radha
Madan
Madan
Mohan
Mohan
Radha,
Radha
Madan
Madan
Mohan
Mohan
Radhe,
Radhe
Jaya Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radhe,
Jai
Radha,
Radha
Giridhari
Giridhari
Radha,
Radha
Giridhari
Giridhari
Radhe,
Radhe
Jaya Radha, Giridhari, Radha, Giridhari Radhe,
Jai
Radha,
Radha
Giridhari
Giridhari
Radha,
Radha
Giridhari
Giridhari
Radhe,
Radhe
Jaya Radha, Kunj Bihari Radha, Kunj Bihari Radhe,
Jai
Radha,
Radha
Kunj
Kunj
Bihari
Bihari
Radha,
Radha
Kunj
Kunj
Bihari
Bihari
Radhe,
Radhe
Jaya Radha, Shama Sundar, Radha, Shama Sundar Radhe,
Jai
Radha,
Radha
Shama
Shama
Sundar
Sundar
Radha,
Radha
Shama
Shama
Sundar
Sundar
Radhe,
Radhe
Jaya Radha, Bake Bihari Radha, Bake Bihari Radhe,
Jai
Radha,
Radha
Bake
Bhakti
Bihari
Bihari
Radha,
Radha
Bake
Bhakti
Bihari
Bihari
Radhe,
Radhe
Jaya Radha, Ramana Radha, Ramana Radhe,
Jai
Radha,
Radha
Ramana
Madhuri
Radha, Ramana Radhe,
Radhe
Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur,
Jai Jai
Jaya Nitai
Nitai
Gaur,
Gaur
Nitai
Jai Gaur
Gaur, Nitai
Nitai
Gaur,
Gaur
Jaya
Jai
Jaya
Jai
Nitai Gaur, Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur,
Jai
Jaya
Jai
Nitai
Nitai
Gaur,
Gaur
Nitai
Nitai
Gaur,
Gaur
Nitai
Nitai
Gaur,
Gaur
Jaya
Jai
Jaya
Jai
Nitai
Nitai
Gaur, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jai
Jaya
Jai
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada Prabhupada
Prabhupada, Prabhupada,
Prabhupada
Jaya
Jai
Jaya
Jai
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jai Jai
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada
Prabhupada, Prabhupada,
Prabhupada
Jaya
Jai
Jaya
Jai
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Jai
Jaya
Jai
Gurudev,
Gurudev
Gurudev,
Gurudev
Gurudev,
Gurudev
Jaya
Jai
Jaya
Jai
Gurudev,
Gurudev
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Jaya
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 Gurudev,
Gurudev Gurudev
Gurudev, Gurudev,
Gurudev
Jaya
Jaya Jaya
Gurudev.
Gurudev
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you, Darshan and Kiran. So today is Jayananda Prabhu's Disappearance Day. So Maharaj has kindly agreed to let us know about Jayananda Prabhu. And
One,
his
so one
story.
second, Dad. Marge, did you receive the link? I sent it in the
What's
group
up?
chat.
The
Yeah.
chat?
Uh-huh.
In the
What's up?
I don't-
What's
I don't
up?
see it. Oh, what's up? Not in the chat. Okay. Let me go over here to chat. It doesn't show up in the online format when we're talking and stuff.
I'm not sure, Marge. What does that mean?
I mean,
It should be.
somewhere you can push some button and it's this is being live streamed. Here's the connection.
It is being live streamed. I don't know.
So
It
There's
is
just for
live
example,
stream, Maharaj.
for example, you can I can go ahead and go to the chat thing and I can say invite people and it shows me the Zoom link. So I'm wondering if someplace I can go push the button when we're on screen there, and I don't have to ask you. We'll say, "Oh, this is being live streamed. Here's the link." You know.
Dandika Prabhu, you know what to do about it?
Maharaj, that is in the Zoom link. Sorry, in the Zoom meeting chat, there is a link, Maharaj. That is a live link, Maharaj. So you
One
can-
second here. I'm putting link here right now. Okay, Jaya Jayananda Kata. Now, okay, I just tweeted my twits.
Okay.
Okay. And Maharaj, so before you jump into discussing the glories of Jayananda Prabhu, I do want to make two quick announcements. Today is Darshanti and Darshanti and Kiran Uncle's anniversary. Which year I don't know, but it's many years of wedding of marriage.
53.
53.
There we
Happy
go.
New Year. I'm a happy
Thank you.
anniversary. Happy
Thank you.
anniversary.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
And
Krishna.
the second announcement, though she's not here, I'll announce it anyways. Manju has been accepted into Acadia's CEO and training program. So in January of next year, she will be a mover and a shaker at somewhere else, no longer in Nashville.
Oh,
Wow. Amazing. Thank you.
where will
for
she be?
sharing the good news.
We don't know just yet, Hunty.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
Chief
Wonderful news.
Executive Ostrich.
All right. So Maharaj, the floor is yours. Shall I make you the host?
Yeah, I'll share my PowerPoint show. If you could be Chief Executive Officer Ostrich, whenever there's any problem, you just stick your head in the ground. Okay, share my screen. What am I going to share here? I'll share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Maharaj, we can see it.
Okay, then I'll go to my PowerPoint show. Yayanilo Premadana Poruna Prachu Yayanilo Premadana Poruna Prachu Aino Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Taku Aino Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Taku. Very, very nice song. Kahamora Swaruprupa Kahasanatan Kahadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan. Where have my Swarup Damodar Rupa Goswami gone? Where have Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen souls, go? Where has Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, gone? He's gone to joy. He's gone off on his own lila, accompanied by his associates. Unable to achieve that association, Narottam Das Thakur could only weep. Okay, Jai. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. So as Abhishek Singh Das, announced, I'm going to take over soon today, is Tirobhava. You know, this anniversary of the disappearance of Jayananda Das, one of Prabhupada's very prominent disciples. And Prabhupada said there's no difference between Tirobhava and Avirbhava, this appearance and disappearance. But of course, we experienced some perspective, you know. So we were very fortunate that when we joined in the temple in San Francisco in 1972, 73, somewhere there, Jayananda was there in San Francisco. And I have this slideshow I've been adjusting it. What I do is I make slideshows for the different festivals and save them and edit them. So we can become Krishna conscious just by annually observing these festivals and improving our method of worship. One Radhastami, it was fasting until noon in Dallas. So I just, memorized the song Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate and Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabis. I memorized those two verses. And then next year I had them. So many festivals. We can, memorize things, learn things. And one very, very good aspect of waking up, waking up our Krishna consciousness. So anyway, Jayananda Das, he was born somewhere in the Midwest. I don't know, someplace. And I think his grandfather was a Christian pastor. So he had some kind of like nice, religious background, a nice part of America. He studied electrical engineering, big guy. And then he, during the hippie revolution, he graduated. Well, what am I going to do now? What is life all about? And so then he came out to San Francisco because there was all this news about, all this whole revolutionary activity was going on, the Vietnam War, protesting and new consciousness and all these things. So he went out there and was like investigating different things and trying things out, but, very, very scrupulously avoiding all the, really, really gross, what's the word, lasciviousness that was going on. But he got a job as a taxi driver. And one time Guru Das said he actually tested Jayananda. He would just give him like, a street crossing in San Francisco. And he said Jayananda would remember like what was on that street, the different stores and places like that. And he had this incredible, material facility. And after he became a taxi driver, after he became a devotee, well, he was still doing his job as a taxi driver, and he would like put back to Godhead magazines or books or stuff, on the back seat. And so some clients would get in, they pick him up, and they say, "Oh, I want to go to the airport." And he say, "Okay, So he'd be driving them, and they would say, "Oh, there's something back here, a package back here." They put it in a package or something. They would say, "Well, oh yeah, what is it?" The guy would open it up, and there was a book, and he would say, "Oh, it's a book. Like, what's it about?" He would say, "Oh, it's about so and so title of Bhagavad Gita." And he said, "Oh yeah, it's very interesting." There was like an Indian, really interesting Indian guy, my last client, and I guess maybe you must have left that. What does it say? The first we start reading, they would discuss it, and then they would say, "Well, I guess I don't know. Probably that guy's not gonna contact me or something. Why don't you take it with you?" And so people would, pay their fare and give, a friendly guy give nice donations and stuff. So he was like that. He always would stay engaged in Krishna's service. He always would take any service and just figure out, some way to make it as important as any other service. And other people thought, "Oh, it's not an important service, difficult, can't do it." So anyway, he came out to San Francisco, he working taxi driver, and he wasn't finding his answers. So he, he said the night before he met Prabhupada, he said he actually was crying a little bit. He was like so unhappy about who am I, what's going on, So, because he had some religious perspective and stuff. So the next day he said, "Okay, let me try out the Hare Krishnas." And he went there to the temple on 84 Carl Street. And one devotee received him, Dr. Leroy or something. And he said, "Oh, okay, you should see Swamiji, So they took him back up to the courtyard, I guess, up to Prabhupada's room, knocking the door. And Prabhupada said, "Yeah, what is it?" He said, "Oh, Prabhupada, there's a nice boy here." So Jayananda said he came in, and Prabhupada looked at him and saw probably, of course, his presence and his, simplicity, purity, and also big guy, So he told the young devotee who brought him in, he said, "Oh, bring prasadam, big plate." So Jayananda said, "Prabhupada always knew what you needed, So he came in and he was sitting there. I think maybe he probably sat him in a chair or something, some other. And he was eating prasadam and was quite happy, And Prabhupada was just asking casual questions. "Where are you from? What are you doing?" And when he told him he had a job, Prabhupada was surprised. "You have a job?" Because everybody else was joining were all, dropouts and whatever else, So then he asked him, said, "Do you have any questions?" And Jayananda kind of thought for a moment and said, "What is the purpose of life? What is the purpose of life?" That's a very nice question. He said, Prabhupada thought for a moment, and he said, "The purpose of life is to be happy, And it was perfect answer. He was completely satisfied. "Yeah, that's the purpose of life, to be happy, Yeah, okay. So what's the following question? What's the obvious question after that? How to become happy? It's just like, it's so simple. It's just like, there's no doubt. Oh yeah, okay. It's just so like that. Yeah, he was a very, very kind of simple, direct, honest person, and Prabhupada was able to give simple, direct, honest answers. You know? So then he started getting involved and started, coming and participating and helping out however he could, according to his abilities in nature. And Prabhupada was engaging him in different ways. I could talk about it for a long time there. But one thing especially, you know the story how Mother Malati found little Jagannath Murti, maybe about 4 inches tall or something, and cost plus imports. And so she brought that to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, what is this? It's from India, no? And Prabhupada paid his obeisances and said, well, we were very impressed. Well, what is that? So Prabhupada said, there must have been 2 more. Well, he said, well, yeah, And she apparently had stolen Jagannath. He said, no, you must pay for the other ones. So anyway, they had the Murtis, and Prabhupada said, oh, Lord Jagannath has arrived, And of course, he's very famous as Patita Pavana. Jayatirtha Prabhu told me that Prabhupada said, Jagannath is 80% merciful. 4 out of 5 times he tolerates your stupidities, late offerings, all this kind of stuff, But the 5th time, Subhadra kicks you into whatever, And Radha Krishna, of course, to really worship them, you've got to be perfect. And Gauratai, they forgive everything basically, but Vaishnava Aparad, and even that, if you reform your character, they forgive you. So then Prabhupada wanted to organize the Rath Yatra festivals. So Jayananda somehow or other took it as like a, real personal thing because he was a mechanical engineer. I think Narayan came up in the beginning and helped work on the carts in the beginning. Well, he designed these really fantastic carts. He was using almost no money, which was the budget the devotees had. You may have seen sometimes they're putting cables underground for telephones, and these big wooden spools, maybe 4 or 5 feet tall, made out of wood with the cables rolled up on those. So he just asked the phone company and talked to them, please, can we have those and this and that, and they said, well, okay, yeah, So he took those. I think he would take the big round parts on the side and then bolt them together and glue them together so they were double thick. And that's how he made the first cart. The wheels were maybe about 4 feet tall, and he then got a frame and the brakes from a old truck and something. But then because they had so many cross wires on the route, the canopy had to go up and down. So he made this very, very interesting thing with 2 angle irons. I mean, 2 kind of square iron bars and stuff that could slide inside of each other when greased, and it would go up. He put a bolt in, and it would drop it down. It was a whole real nice simple mechanical engineering thing, And the Rath Yatra, of course, it became his whole life and soul. And because it was so variegated, you needed people to do advertising, you needed people to work on the carts, you needed, kirtan leaders, all this stuff, cooking. So he would engage everybody. It was kind of his typical nature. He would engage everybody in all kinds of, different activities, and people would just come out of the woodwork in San Francisco for maybe 2 months, and just work and participate. And that was the only time they came and stuff. And of course, it was a very, very big, beautiful festival and so successful. In the beginning, it was only in San Francisco, and I think the second Rath Yatra was in New York. And he went there to actually help develop it and stuff, and to give them the impetus, the perspective, and so on. So we can talk more about all these things. Okay. Here's some pictures of him. And of course, he loved to lead kirtan. He would go out with that. He wasn't much of a big book distributor or a book distributor on the street. He would kind of do it, but his nature wasn't so much that way. And so he would take the devotees out chanting in kirtan, and he would work out a route where different people would come out, like the phone company in downtown San Francisco. Their big building got off for lunch at 11:30, and then he would go around the corner to this bank. So he'd always be there when the people would be coming out for their lunch break and stuff, and have some magazines and devotees chanting and some of the prasadam to pass out. And the people became part of their day, the Hare Krishnas and stuff, in a very friendly way, very natural way. So leading kirtan. And here's a picture of him on the top right there, with a suit on, a tie and everything else, And he would do these kind of things. He would introduce Prabhupada. He was a little older than everybody else and so on. So like he could represent himself, you know, to the ordinary people as being more like an adult, not like a young hippie or, you know, person like that to represent Prabhupada. In the lower right, we have a picture of the Rath Yatra cart construction. And this was some former gas station lot right off of the Panhandle in Panhandle or whatever it is. Yeah, Panhandle in near Golden Gate Park. And just you know, they had it like not being used. So he would go to anybody. He would just talk them into donating something, giving something, and people would be very happy. So that they donated it every year for constructing the carts. And this is maybe a later cart, a little bigger. And I was there. I was out there, and we would work out there, maybe even sleep out there under the carts. And he would show up and help us and give us guidance and give us instructions on what to do, you know. And then he would go off and meet the people who were doing the advertising and something else like that. But he was running around just to get the whole thing happening. 1 year, I heard it was just falling behind. So he went 72 hours without eating or sleeping. Basically, 3 days he didn't sleep or eat, and just continuously running around, pushing it, and the whole thing happened on time. Then after that, everything was put away, and the people, you know, got cakes and cookies, and as thank you for all their participation. The Department of Public Works, the police people, you know. And he sat down in front of Lord Jagannath, and without getting up, chatted something like, was it 4 days, 65 rounds without getting up, just chanting, and sometimes even just crying and stuff, sitting in front of Jagannath. So he was not an ordinary human being. Here's a very famous picture in the center of him in front of Rath Yatra. I actually had that shirt for a while. Being a brahmachari and stuff, I couldn't keep it, so I gave it to some other devotees and stuff. And when he left his body, Prabhupada said he has definitely gone back to Godhead. So I think he's maybe the only person that Prabhupada declared like that. And he said his name can be on the Vaishnava calendar. You can pick a day, you know, and so, you know, so his picture should be on all the Rath Yatra cards. You see it there. Then I have his Levi's here. I have a little Levi thing there, yeah, which is an interesting story I was heard. I think it's probably true. So Jayananda, he would dress very simply, you know. When I first met him, I was just coming from Sacramento, and I visited the temple during the daytime, and they had prasadam for lunch. And I came and taking some prasadam, and then one big guy came in and sat down next to me, and it was Jayananda. We said, "Hey, hello, how are you? What's your name?" Like that, you know. And so he had a pair of Levi's on. He had like maybe an old belt. He had an old rope for a belt, maybe some holes here and there in his Levi's. Yeah. So then he asked me where I was from, and I said Sacramento. And he said, "Oh, we're having this festival, and I usually go over there to put up these posters in different kinds of hippies places, and you know, Indian import stores. And I can't do it. So can I give you a few posters and you can do it?" I said, "Okay," you know. So he gave me a list of 25 stores. That stuff. And it was amazing because many of them kind of like remembered him and everything else. "Oh yeah, we'll put it up. Yeah, okay," you know. And maybe some people even went there. They were very, very nice, you know, nice design and everything else, the poster. So that was kind of the thing. I can tell so many stories of how just anybody who came in contact with him was just engaged. You would engage them according to their nature and stuff. So anyway, at some point his Levi's were getting too, I guess you couldn't patch them, and the holes were getting in too colorful places. But he hated to give any money for anything, you know, to the karmis. He just hated it, you know. So he went into one store and he actually stole a pair of Levi's. Okay, tried to, and they got him. And so then he had to appear in court. And the story, he was there, and the judge was dealing with petty theft, you know, of this, that, okay, this, that, you know, different small things. The district attorney was saying, "That's next case, you know." So finally it came Jayananda's court. We call it time, something core. What was his name? Something core. You know. So he went up there, and then the district attorney said, "Okay, the guy stole this and that." And then Jayananda said, "Yeah, I did, but see, this is what happened, and you know, this is a really, really important missionary activity. I just cannot take any money from them. The treasurer would have given me the money, but I just felt so bad about taking any money for anything. So I thought, okay, but just take these and stuff and so on, you know." But he was so impressive that the judge said, "Yeah, but you shouldn't have done that and stuff. And so, you know, you got to be fined like $35 or something, you know, and don't do it again, you know." Like that, so on. And then Jayananda pulled his money out, and he had like, you know, maybe $20, but missing that. And he said, oh, I got $20. And then the judge said, okay, here's 5. The district attorney gives 10. Well, they said, look, if you ever have to get another pair of pants, just come to us. We'll get them for you, And this is a typical story. Is you would just deal with people so personally, so naturally and stuff. They felt like this. What else I got here? Okay, yeah. So I got also this is Banana King Louie. One more story here. Banana. Okay. The produce market in San Francisco was something like about, 4 blocks long by 2 blocks wide. It was a gigantic area because they had to supply all the fruits and vegetables and everything for all the hotels in San Francisco, schools and everything else. So Jayananda would go there, and he might not be in Mongol Arctic, Well, why? Because he was sleeping? No, because he was getting out early to get to the produce market to get all these deals and stuff. So he was kind of like a perfect example of Raga Nuga Bhakti. At that level, you may not follow the Vaidya Bhakti so exactly, like he wasn't in Mongol Arctic every day. No, why? Because he knew how to adjust it. So in the cart, in the truck, an old big red truck, big thing, he would take along 1 or 2 new bhaktas with him, and he would just do the Gurvastaka and sing enthusiastically, and they would sing. So it was there. Then he would come back, put everything away, divide it up, tell the cooks this has to be cooked right away. It's not going to be good, and tomorrow, whatever, offer it. Then he would grab me in the treasury office sometimes and say, oh, hey, Hanumat, Dr. Hubert, let's have a reading. And so we'd read a little bit from Prabhupada's books and discuss it. And I realized that everything was there. The Mongol Arctic was there, Kirtan was there, class was there, Japa was there. But he knew how to put it together in such a way that he didn't have to follow the same schedule and stuff. So anyway, he would go to, what do you call it, the market. And there was one guy there named called Banana King Louie, Banana King Louie. And he had the biggest banana business in San Francisco, which you can imagine. I don't know how many bananas he was buying from Ecuador. He probably could have bankrupted a small country or something, But he was very, very famous for his pride and all that kind of stuff. So he had a big picture on the wall behind him of his face, and it said, do not ask what Banana King Louie can do for you. Ask what you can do for Banana King Louie. Of course, this is what JFK had said, do not ask what America can do for you, ask what you can do for America. So he put Banana King Louie. So anyway, Jayananda went right in and talked to Banana King Louie and everything else, and got convinced Banana King Louie to donate something like 20 boxes of bananas for free. So it spread all over the entire produce market. Everybody was laughing. Oh my God, Louie's gone bananas. He's giving bananas to the Hare Krishnas, donation. Yeah. And it went on like that. Jayananda would go in. Then the year he left his body right the year before Prabhupada, which is another story. and the devotees came in, and they knew what, and he said, oh, Mr. Louie, we're having our festival. I mean, what if you can give some bananas for it? And he said, yeah, okay, take them. Here's, give this note to the boss, down below. Hey, he said, where's Jay? And he said, oh, he left his body, he had cancer, So Banana King Louie started crying. He said, such a nice person. So many people, they didn't know they were getting this association. They met somebody who made maybe all the purpose in their life. They never met anybody like this in their life, and they weren't ready to understand it formally and all these details and stuff, but they knew there's something higher here, In the moment of death, when your mind is flashing through all these memories, looking for something that will help you at that time, run across some of these transcendental experiences, and you think, yeah, that guy said we're not the body, and he was really different. And so you hang on to those memories, and then you take a corresponding birth in your next life. So Satsarup Maharaj is considered like an incarnation of Lord Brahma. It's like he's very Brihaspati, very, very calm and intellectual. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj, incarnation of maybe Prithu Maharaj or something, the potency to control the devotees or something, But yeah, different devotees they seem to have such very, very prominent qualities. But everybody was agreeing that Jayananda's quality was foremost was humility. And he was unbelievably humble. There's all these stories about him, But they go on here, yeah. And so I remember so myself too, it was just like he was so humble about everything. And so anyway, Prahlad Maharaj, of course, tolerated all these kind of different activities and so on. Yeah. And also Prahlad Maharaj is, of course, very much associated with the Shingadev. so, so for several reasons, I was thinking that maybe Jayananda is an incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. Yeah. It's not right to speculate like this. You know, you look at the evidence and just consider, okay, maybe, yeah, based on the evidence, yeah. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But at least that gives some idea, not just other people too. I think maybe Satsu Maharaj or Tamal Krishna Maharaj who said, if there's anybody in this movement who's an eternal associate of Srila Prabhupada, it's probably Jayananda. You know? So Prahlad incarnated as Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Again, you see so many qualities also like Jayananda. But Haridas Thakur didn't want to hang around to see the disappearance festival of Lord Chaitanya. So he asked to be able to leave before he did. And we see Jayananda also. Maybe he didn't want to hang around to see Prabhupada's disappearance festival. So he left the year before. And devotees say he went to get things ready for Prabhupada. Yeah. So a little bit of a presentation here about some ideas remembering Jayananda and his association. And of course, so many people, so many people, very serious people tried to do a biography of him. Never worked out. Practically speaking, something squeezed in here and there, and Radha Damodar Vilas and so on. But he was just like that. It's also typical of him too. He just would, he'd always redirect any kind of glorification to somebody else. So any questions or comments at this point?
Maharaj, Harivalabha, you want to read what Giraj Maharaj wrote about him today? You have access to that?
I will just check it, Prabhu, one second.
Maharaj, Harivalabha said yesterday, as I said, requested you to speak few words about Rukmini. Yesterday was Rukmini Dwadashi.
Just Prabhupada named the Los Angeles deities. The original Los Angeles deities were Radha Krishna name, but because it was Los Angeles, the world of so much opulence, like Dwarka, maybe even named New Dwarka. I think it was named New Dwarka. Yeah. So then Prabhupada gave the name Rukmini Dwarkadish to the deities there, and so on. And of course, in the Krishna book, there's the story of what have we got? The marriage of Rukmini. That's the first time she appears. Then, of course, there's a story of Krishna teasing her and her passing out, thinking she was going to be in separation from Krishna. Then she appears in the kidnapping of Pradyumna when he shows up again. And the queen's talking about Krishna. I don't know if she's mentioned there specifically, but there's that's about all I know in terms of the Shastra. Rukmini Dwarkadish, okay, the pastimes, their pastimes. They were changing their clothes 3 times a day, into opulence. After the 4 o'clock artik, they would give them a whole new dress and so on. So such opulence for the deity worship, and many times very strong pujaris who was very regulated about who could go on the altar, who could not go on the altar. At one point, they went to a clothing designer in Los Angeles who did a lot of stuff for the cinema in Los Angeles and Hollywood. They would design outfits and all that kind of stuff and so on. And they asked him, hey, can you do an outfit for Rukmini Dwarkadish, like for Janmashtami or something? And says, okay. They gave some discount. And then it was very nice. And then they took a full-size picture of the deities and put it right in the lobby of their office. They showed this is the kind of stuff we do. And they said this whole thing was just different. It was just a whole different project. And people were, talking about the Catholic deities and all this kind of stuff. We were looking at Catholic dresses and stuff. One story, right near the Watsika Avenue, and the T is Venice Boulevard. It's 4 lanes on both sides, and there's a mall down the middle. So the story is that maybe like about 2 blocks from Watsika, 2 full blocks away, in the third block, some construction guys were using a big, backhoe machine to dig up the earth, and they were uncovering one pipeline which had to be fixed. And they'd all stopped for lunch, but one guy was kind of using it himself, and he actually, with the tooth of the backhoe, actually punched a hole in the pipeline, and all this water started shooting out, this high pressure. It was shooting right across the street, and all the cars stopped, going into a second story of a window across the street. And the foreman's on his phone just screaming and yelling on his cell phone, whatever else like that. So finally somebody decided, well, I'm not going to wait anymore. He went right through the water, but it wasn't water, it was gasoline under high pressure. And of course, the guy's car just went, he was incinerated. He immediately was elevated to some other platform. And of course, then it just burst into flames. Now there's this gasoline fed, fire is going down the streets, rolling down the streets. It's melting plastic signs on the opposite sides of the street. And so this guy was calling the central office. We was trying to get him to turn the thing off. So the smoke is roaring up in flames, and it's maybe 3 blocks away from the temple coming down the street. And devotees are screaming and running everywhere and what to do. And there's an alley right next to the temple, a little alley parallel to Venice Boulevard. So Jayatirtha said that the flames were kind of coming into that down the street. And when this devotee Narayan, who was helping to build the Rath Yatra carts, very emotional, artistic guy, he said he was going to run through it. And Jayatirtha was trying to stop him. He's so dangerous. You can't do that. He said, my family's on the other side of that. So he's running through it, running for the flames. And Jayatirtha said it was exactly like one of these pictures of the Bhagavatam about the attached grihastha running through hell, going through hell. So anyway, what to do with Rukmini Dwarkadish? So they grabbed them all and just ran up the street to the head pujari's apartment in one of the temple apartment buildings. And the head pujari was in there. His wife was in curlers, and he was in something like that. And his kids were eating Frito-Lays, something like that, some kind of commercial snacks, and watching Bart Simpson cartoons or something. So he went over and knocked on the door. He opened the door, and there's Rukmini Dwarkadish at his front door. And he said he'd always had this consciousness, they're on the altar, and they can't see like my kids eating Cracker Jacks cooked by outside people, and we're watching cartoons and stuff. He had this consciousness that they were kind of like on the altar, and here they were, showed right up. So his wife turned off the television and moved the Cracker Jacks off of the table, and they put Rukmini Dwarkadish, and they stayed there for 2 days, I think, like that, and so on. So Rukmini Dwarkadish ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rukmini ki jai.
So Marivallavi, it is getting a little late, so they will long, but Maharaj sent a little, I don't know whether you got it or not. But that Janand Prabhu left his body on May 1st, 1977, corresponding to May 3rd, 2023, on the Vaishnava calendar. When he was asked about how he had become so advanced, he responded, quote, I don't know. I never had time to think about it. I had too much service to do. So that was Jananda Prabhu. So what I heard from you and Kalakanta Prabhu about him, other books. So, and yeah, as Harivallavi wrote that Guraj Maharaj has written a nice chapter on him and his many moons. Yeah. So if you read from there, Harivallavi, can you post it so those people who do not have the book can read from there? And if you need
Sure,
a book,
Prabhu.
I have book. And if anyone of local who does
I
not
have the
book,
book, Prabhu. I will post it.
no, I was saying that who are local person, the people who does not have book, I have the copies. So if you need, just let me know, and I'll make sure you get it. It is wonderful reading. So thank you, Maharaj. So tomorrow we will be celebrating Narsingha Chaturdashi. So Maharaj will be giving another class tomorrow. So Krishnavan, are you going to lead us in Narsingha prayer, please?
Sure, thank you. Namaste Narasingaya Praladharad Daine Hiranyakashi Puvakshaha Shrilatanka Nakalaye Ito Narsingo Parato Narsingo Yato yato yamitato narsingo Bahir narsingo Hridaye narsingo Narsingamadim Sharanam Prapade Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shringar दलिता हिरण्यकशिपो तनुभृङ्गम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमलवरे नखम् अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु धनुभृङ्गम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय